Hey guys, welcome to a brand new podcast we're doing. It's called the Games Club Podcast, and with me today is my good friends Shesez and Beta64. I am A+Start, otherwise known as Andy. We can all call me that just off the bat. And we're going to be talking about some games that we've played this week. I'm going to hand it over to you, Beta, to explain more of what this whole thing is about.
Fine. Oh, I opened the wrong app. I need to open the Notes app. Hold up. I opened iTunes. Okay, so here's what we're doing, everyone. We played Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Let me give you a little synopsis. Stole from Wikipedia, basically. Adventure of Link is a role-playing action video game with platforming elements. It's the second installment in the Legend of Zelda series and was developed and published by Nintendo for the Family Computer Disk System on January 14, 1987, which was actually less than a year after the original Zelda was released, but 7 months before the North American version. Just let that sink in for a minute.
Whoa!
Yeah,
That's kinda
exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Just feel free to ooh and ah.
Ooh, I didn't actually know that though.
Yeah,
So
it's actually pretty crazy. The Adventure of Link, direct sequel to the original Legend of Zelda, again involving Link on a quest to save Zelda, who has fallen under a sleeping spell this time around. The Adventure of Link's emphasis is on side-scrolling and role-playing elements, which is a significant departure from its predecessor. So, with that being said, let's talk about the game and what we all thought about this significant departure. Is it better than the original?
Oh God, no. But
good way to start it. All right.
But it's definitely not a bad game at all, though.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
First thing I wanted to say.
Are you saying something? Over there?
Okay, I didn't want to go into this, like how much I didn't enjoy this, like right off the bat. But if you play the original and then you come into this one, it was so jarring to me. Just in a number of ways. Graphically, gameplay-wise. I mean, graphically, it's an ugly game. I just couldn't help but feel how ugly it was.
Damn.
Anybody?
Gosh.
I actually really like the graphics. I think it's really funny. It has some of the most interesting enemy designs I've ever seen in a video game. Like the bouncing cats with the beards.
Dude, yeah. What was up with that? I seriously want to know. I looked at that and I'm like, is that like a hedgehog cat with a mustache and a beard? What the heck?
I was trying to make sense of that. And I also like the humanoid dog people with the Fu Manchu mustaches.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm saying.
They're the guys throwing their boomerangs. Was that the boomerang guys? Or?
Yeah, the boomerang.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell who was a pig and who was a human.
It was just all very... I think I need to kind of specify the areas that I thought were just like... Whenever you go to a town, it's like the buildings are like... Just, I don't know, it was just ugly. Just the tile sets that they used.
I'll admit.
I know it was like... When did this game come out again? 1987?
Yep,
no, 86?
It was 1987, and we got it in the U.S. in 1988.
Okay, so...
Oh, you didn't... Yeah, you were in Europe.
Yeah, you're not U.S. Sorry, you're not a part of this club.
Else, you know?
She says, you and I will take over this podcast.
But I don't know, on a personal level, maybe I just see it differently, but I just felt like it was really ugly. It was an ugly game. I didn't mind Link. His sprites were kind of nice.
He was beautiful. Link's always beautiful.
Yeah. He's a beautiful looking man.
Okay, the overworld, I will admit, is pretty freaking terrible. The sprites for like the whoa, hold your phone. Hold that phone. So basically, if you looked at like the rock formations, they were literally like the whole cave, like the beginning cave. You walk up, there's the cave. It's literally 5 rock formations just put together. It's not a cave, it's like a mountain that's within another mountain. It's just, it felt lazy. The overworld felt lazy. The castle and stuff, that looked great. I love the castles, or temples, I don't know. Probably temples.
Mm-hmm.
But that, in some of the towns, they did feel a bit less than, I'll say that.
They kind of also felt a bit copy and pasted as well. Anybody feel that?
Oh, sure, yeah.
But that's kind of what you're going to have to get with NES games.
Yeah, true. I just felt like visiting each one, it just kind of felt the same. So to the point where it was like, why are we doing this? I don't know. Just a lot of... Everybody in the towns wasn't really saying anything.
For me, I felt that they had a purpose. Like, I like the towns. Obviously, it's 1987, so I mean, like, you gotta kind of give and take things, you know.
Yeah, back in 1987, people
just
didn't
like
talk.
for me, yeah. For me, it's kind of like I look at it like classic film, you know. Like, I can't be hard on King Kong for, you know, its like lack of CGI.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you know, it's just like, so I kind of give it some, I relax on it a little bit, but for what it does is really impressive, you know. When you went from the original Legend of Zelda that had no towns, pretty much nobody to talk to whatsoever, Legend of Zelda 2 started introducing things that were later used in the series, you know. So it's like
That's very true.
You get to see where it all kind of gets started from. And like, they did have purposes. Like, every time you made the trip into a town, you got like a new ability. You were able to refill health and all that stuff. And and you did get hints that are sometimes very, very important. You know, I would be unguided if it weren't for some hints that were left in some of those towns. You know.
The problem is I didn't realize till like halfway through my play session that I could get new moves in the town. I was just talking with people and it was like, oh, let me re-heal you. I'm like, I'm already healed. I don't need you. and then people will be like, oh, hello, welcome.
Immersion.
I'm not here for a daily chat. I'm not here for a chat.
I think I had the opposite experience of that. I think, in all honesty, I got completely lost in the beginning, to the point where I was doing, you know, the dark cave levels that you're supposed to have the candle. In fact, I was doing those in the dark because I was like, I don't know where this candle is. I have no idea.
Oh man, no, I had that same experience too. And then I came across the candle. I was like, I feel like an idiot.
So since we're on the topic about what we don't like about the game,
okay.
Wow, we went there pretty fast.
So I gotta disagree with you guys. I think the things that you guys you know, don't like are things that I find endearing, but the things that I personally don't like is just the staggering difficulty in this game. Now, of course,
it's so freaking
difficult.
Yeah,
well, the funny thing is, like, you know, it's manageable. You can definitely overcome the challenge, but there's so many things that the game throws at you to, like, kind of stop you in your tracks, and it's like Dark Souls. Oh no, I just said that, didn't I?
Oh no, you said it. No, okay, but here, I agree with you. I agree with you with that. I won't. You don't have to finish.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you know, when I was playing this again for this podcast discussion, I knew going in, I was like, okay, so if I lose all 3 lives, I lose all my experience points, and if I beat the temple, which again, this is something that's not explained to you, but if you beat the temple, you get a full level up no matter how much experience you have.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know
that.
So
I kept that in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, so to get the most out of this temple, I have to essentially level up and have no experience going into putting the gem into the temple, and then I get a free level. Now, it's...
Golly, you went in knowing things.
Oh, yeah.
I just went in blind.
Wait, so this is another question I just want to ask. How many of us had played this beforehand?
I played like once,
and
then got too frustrated to quit.
Okay, so this was another thing about this. For me, this was the first time I played it. I had never approached this game before. Obviously, I had seen things, mostly from like speedruns of the game, but I'd never actually played it firsthand. So, yeah, I put that down to the reason why I got lost so badly in the beginning, because I had no kind of... there was no
childlike wonder.
Yeah, maybe. But there was just no guide to it for me, and you know, the things that you mentioned there, like, I didn't know that because nowhere in the game is anything like explicitly explained to you. That's kind of what I felt.
See, this is why we need the manual. We need the manual for the game. No, but I feel like it's a weird feeling. Okay, so games nowadays, they hold your hand constantly. Literally, you might as well have neon signs where you're supposed to go in every single game.
Right.
There's a set beginning and set end. Even Breath of the Wild, the way it's designed, there's still like, you feel like you're exploring, but it's not like these early games where it's like you're thrown into a world and you're just told go.
Yeah.
Even Breath of the Wild, you start it and you're like, okay, I have to go talk to this old man, who then tells me to go to these temples, who then tells me to head over here. There's always somewhere to go.
in these early games, it was kind of just you're stuck there and you just find your own path.
Right.
Which, honestly, I don't know which is better because they're both good in their own way. Because I played Zelda 2 and I had the same feeling I had with Breath of the Wild. I was like, wow, this whole open world to explore. I guess I'll just, go over here into this town and go see this thing. And, oh, I guess I can't get through this yet. I got to go find something over there.
Yes.
And that's what I really liked about it. It was actually very exploration-based.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think?
A lot of it you kind of have to take with, what did you have to play at the time, in that moment when the game came out. And at the time, there wasn't great graphics for most video games. And also, you weren't allowed to really explore in video games. You either just went left or right. So in that regard, Zelda 2 offered a lot of stuff, like whether it be because of the original game, pioneered the idea of just exploring a whole map. Zelda 2 expanded on that and did the same thing. But those are like the only 2 games really that you had to play that would allow you to do so. And if you were in that time, it's funny for you, Andy, because you're playing it for the first time and you have so much more to compare it to. But like, if you were a kid in 1987 or a little bit later.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing to be able to explore this map, and have the freedom to do so. But I realize that that's kind of lost now when you have like stuff like Breath of the Wild, for example, where it's like it's had so many decades to polish the experience.
I think what I was basing my initial reaction of the game and graphically and feeling like, oh, it doesn't look that great is the original. I feel the original kind of nailed the design that it was going for. The sprite tiles were a lot cleaner. Maybe I'm coming at this from a kind of like being an artist myself. I kind of come at things from that angle and like, oh, this looks this way because X, Y, and Z. But I was just feeling like, I don't know, it just didn't ring well with me compared to the original. I just think they nailed the aesthetic they were going for, which kind of made me question. Obviously they had the original game and then this is Zelda 2. It's like they obviously didn't know this was going to become a franchise. So I wonder how much of this kind of what they were going for was just kind of feeling around in the dark and like, oh, okay, so we tried it with this in the original game. Let's try something different.
Kind of like how, yeah, I was just going to say, kind of like how you were in that cave when you were playing the game.
Yeah.
Feeling around the
It's
dark.
like, where are things? Why are things killing me? Yeah, I wonder just how much of it was kind of guesswork and like, okay, so we tried it with this. Let's try something slightly different. Everything, because I imagine at the time, everything was becoming like 2D platformers. It's such a departure from how the series was going to go and where it had come from previously. So it's like it's jarring to me.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Zelda 2 is it's different than pretty much every other Zelda game that came after it for the fact of it is a platformer.
Yeah.
I mean, all the other Zelda games, you throw in even Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, they aren't platformers, especially not the Nintendo 64 ones, because you had the auto jump.
Yeah.
I mean, there were like little leaps and jumps to get over a platform, but that wasn't like this. This one, you literally have to, because there was one stage where it was just literally you have to jump across these small platforms. And it was hard and very unforgiving, but it felt like Mario meets Zelda.
Yeah.
And that's something we haven't really seen. So I figure Zelda 2 is kind of like that. They were trying to make it like what was already kind of popular, like Mario. That's the way I kind of feel, like they took 2 really popular games, smushed them together, had a little bit of Final Fantasy in there, and you got Zelda 2.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they based it on what they already had success with and what was the kind of flavor of the time. Platformers were big. Why not have Zelda be a platformer and have these kind of RPG elements, a level up system, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I could tell you exactly how it went down in that boardroom. It was just like, hey, how about we have the adventure and exploration of Zelda, but the intense action of the successful Mario Brothers series? They're like, yeah, put it to paper,
And then it became the Adventures of Link.
Yeah.
It's like I was
and
there.
then and then afterwards they were like, what did we do?
No, but I liked Zelda 2. That's my thing, because I played it. Okay, this was kind of my first time playing it. My brother owned it. It was his game. and I was just kind of the little brother who was just watching him play. So he had Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and he played more Zelda 1 than Zelda 2 because of just how unforgiving Zelda 2 was.
Yeah.
And that was the reason I didn't play it as a kid. I was just kind of like, oh, I'll play one level, just because I want to see. And no, I died in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I was not good at video games. That was back in the day when I wasn't good at video games.
Well, according to this game, I'm still not because, man, the amount of times Ganon would just laugh at me is ridiculous.
It got to the point where I heard that, and I was like,
so close.
screw you.
Yeah.
So many times.
And
So many explicitives were talked under the breath.
oh yeah, dude, the really potty mouth came to life with me. Just I don't know.
It was rough.
No,
I call this game
again,
some things that nobody should ever hear. But
Yeah, what's funny is I have a lot of background experience with the game, and even I, again, playing this again for the podcast, I still had frustrated moments because to go back to what I was saying a second ago or a few minutes ago, with the experience system, right? So it like enemies are really tough when they offer a lot of experience points. Typically, like the Iron Knuckles, they're a huge pain. The guys with the shields and they like
those
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
idiots. I hate those things.
You know what I did?
So
Sorry
much.
to detract, but there was one I just wanted to get past. I just kept stabbing him with a hammer. He just kept moving back. I'm like, this is working. I didn't actually kill him, but carry on. I just
wait,
pushed
what
him
did-
into a corner.
But dude, I got to the point I
yeah.
jumped over them. I was so annoyed I just jumped
Yeah,
right
yeah.
over them.
Those are my childhood tactics right there. Apparently, so there's like I don't know if what the game developers intended here. I'm gonna sidetrack too because we're on the subject of Iron Knuckles and I did want to talk about this, but I don't know what the intention of the developers were for this because like if you stab up, he can move his shield up, and so naturally your mind should think like, okay, so this is where I down stab because he's exposed in his legs, and then he'll move his shield down and then I stab him at the body level, and just rinse and repeat until he's dead. But the problem is that it seems like he moves his shield to block before I can even get a chance to counterattack.
Yes, exactly. It's really
Right?
annoying. I can't deal with things like that.
So I ended up like, and I've seen this online too. Like I ended up exploiting how to fight these guys, which is if you jump towards him, right, and then drop the sword over his head, it hits him every single time. But I don't think that's what the game developers wanted you to do. I feel like the real intention was to counterattack and read his where his shield is, But like that's so much for a person to think about, especially if you're a little kid. And even when you try to, use that principle, it doesn't seem to work half the time,
I mean, I didn't even really think of it like that because I don't know what it is about having 2D games. I don't expect that kind of complexity from fighting an enemy,
Oh my god, so there's so many things that are complicated about this game that are counterintuitive to the player. Now, I mean, I'm not saying like it's it's very clear that's what the developers intended. So like another thing too was if you know about the experience system and you're like, okay, I want to make sure I get enough experience points before I drop the gem inside the temple and get that free level up, right? Well, here's the thing. If you kill a good enemy in Zelda 2, one that's like worth 50 experience points or whatever, they don't come back. So you could clear out the entire dungeon, and then you'll have like 5 experience points away from a level up, or a little more than that, so that you can't say, well, you could just kill a blob and get a level up. Like let's say like 30 experience points. You have no enemies left to kill, And the game deliberately does that to make sure that you don't grind, essentially. They just want you to have...
That was my thing. I had the whole game, I had the constant feeling of where can I go to grind experience points, and there was nothing. There was one thing. If you go into the grass and you hit the really strong enemy in the overworld, there's these birds that fly down, and you can just sit there and just attack, but they only give you 2 experience points.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think they give you 10. Here I am trying to make sense out of all this. I'm like, okay, so wait, the enemies probably don't come back because they don't want to over challenge the player. Like, oh, I just cleared that room. Now I got to kill them again. That's good. But here's something that I noticed too. Is like I was like, oh, there's a boomerang guy in this special area, right? And like he's the only guy there. And I'm like, okay, so what I can do is I can kill him, leave the area, come back in, and he should respawn because that's what happens in temples. Nope. The game developers were like, well, we see an exploit here. Let's just code over that so that never happens. I was like, man, they thought of everything, but not about how to make it fun.
Just want to kill people, man.
But they definitely weren't thinking about kids when they designed the challenge of this game, you know? That's funny.
My biggest problem with the game, I feel the game would be exponentially better if you only lost half your experience when you died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree
That
with
would make the game exponentially better, because there were so many times where I was like, oh, you know, I could level up my magic, but I think I'll wait until I get 50 more and I can level up my attack. And then I die and have to do the whole thing all over
and
again.
regret every decision you've ever made.
Literally, that was where most of the explicitives came.
Yeah.
So what's funny is
bad.
as a kid, I didn't pay attention to the experience system at all. I was just attacking stuff, and eventually I would level up, and it all just kind of happened organically. As an adult, I'm paying attention to all of these things, and I'm starting to notice, like, hey, I want to grind to a certain level, and I'm noticing that some enemies will hit you and take away experience points. And I was like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah, I noticed that. And I attack these enemies like, wow, I'm gonna get so many experience points, and I leave the room like, wait, I have less. What the heck? Why would you do that?
In your mind, she says,
Yeah.
having played it as a kid and playing it now, which experience do you think you preferred? Having that retrospective, like, oh, did you really enjoy it as a kid, or was it better, as an adult?
That's a great question, and I think it's almost even. I think I did enjoy it just a little bit more as a kid, but at the same time, despite the fact that it sounds like I'm griping too much about like the experience system and the difficulty and everything like that, it's kind of fascinating to think that as a kid, I enjoyed it on a like imaginative level. It's like, oh my god, I get to explore all these areas and I got these new items and it's so great, and I can't wait to get to this new spot and see what else I get in this dungeon. As an adult, it's kind of like, oh man, so how can I defeat this incredibly challenging game? Let me like analyze all the challenges. I already know where everything is, so all it takes from me is to overcome that challenge to get there, and like it just becomes an entirely new experience as an adult. And I admire it on that level, and it's kind of hard to say like, well, it was just infinitely better as a kid, because as an adult, I got almost an entirely new game out of it, if you think about it in a completely different way. And yeah, I like both, but like, you just can't win over an argument with a kid that, imagines himself in that world, So obviously being a kid playing Zelda 2 for me was probably the better experience.
Wow. I wish I had it.
The problem with it, dude,
Yeah.
me now.
now.
Me now, I wish I could beat it. My thing is we all have a kind of a, how should I put it, more in-depth look at video games too. Because she says you got Bound to Break, A+Start has Low Poly and Son of Glitch, I have Beta 64. And we kind of look at things different. I don't know about you guys, but me especially, being a game developer too, I look at these worlds and I'm like, oh wow, they could have coded that one better. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, this jump, they could have coded that. Or I look at them like, I wonder how they designed that. I've lost that feeling of being able to be sucked into a world.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't have that at all either. It didn't have me on a, I really must find out what happens, I don't know how much it mattered to me. It's just a strange realization. I don't know. Again, like, if I could go back in time and play it as a kid, I would have been completely invested in it. It would have been my world.
Oh, for sure.
But now I don't know. I think I've been spoiled by the games that I've played in the past 30 years. I think that's what it is. I think I can look at it as, it's a... is it even an okay game? I think that's the decision I'm still trying to make up in my mind. Did I actually enjoy this, or was it just, I don't know where I sit with it, but yeah, there's that benefit of hindsight has kind of clouded my judgment on it a little bit, I think.
Right.
No, I feel that. It's gotten to the point where I feel like I like the game, but I'm not sure. It's some weird middle ground. Because, like, I played it. Okay. This was exactly the feeling I got. I booted up the game. I was like, oh, actually, now that because I haven't played in years. But I booted it up for the first time. I'm like, wow, I actually understand what's going on. Maybe I can actually play this and get an appreciation for it. So I played it. And after a while, I'd been playing for an hour or two, and I was like, wow, I'm really into this. This is a fantastic game. I can't believe I thought it was bad. Wow. Booted up the next day because I was like, wow, I'm so excited to play this. I was like, wow, maybe I'll get that childlike feeling again. That's when I beat the first temple and I got to the second area, and I was like, this game is too freaking hard.
Yep.
It killed my love for the game because of just the staggering amount of difficulty. Yeah, I think my next level up is like 1,000 experience, and I can't get anywhere near that.
So I would just round that out by saying you either need to really appreciate a challenge, or you need to have been born like in the 90s and played in the 90s.
Where there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's this or nothing,
Makes
Timmy.
sense.
Because honestly, the biggest selling point, the biggest forgiveness that you can give the game is its sense of immersion and exploration, but that's kind of lost when you have games that do that even better today. So, that's the caveat there, I suppose.
I will say.
See, okay, here's my. Okay, actually, no.
I was just gonna say, I definitely didn't hate the game. Let's just put that right out. I didn't hate the game. There were certain elements that I disliked. The difficulty that you mentioned, Beta, didn't enjoy that. I hate repeatedly dying, but I think that's another stigma of modern games is you died, I'm going to put you right back where you were when you died so you can screw up again. It's like games just weren't like that as a kid.
That's a perfect segue, actually, to what I was just about to say, and it makes me feel kind of bad. I was going to say, I felt like having to backtrack and go to temples that are like hours away, basically, was my biggest problem with the game, because I would have liked it better if whenever you like find a town or a temple or something, you can choose either to respawn in a town or a temple, something like that. So that way I didn't have to cross land and sea in order to get back to where
that's
I
a
was.
very fast travel.
Dude, I literally turned on fast forward sometimes because I was just like, I don't want to walk across this freaking slow grass again.
That's actually a very common complaint of the game. And like, what's funny is you would say that that's an oversight on the developer's part, but no, it's the developers thought of this as well. Now, I think the gaming public in general disagrees with their choice, but they actually created checkpoints, quote unquote, through the equipment that you get. So in their minds, they were like, okay, so we'll allow Link to bypass this huge chunk of land if he has the hammer to destroy the boulder. So if he has the equipment,
I don't have the
hammer. I don't have the hammer.
the hammer.
Yeah, seriously, like losing all your lives at the second temple is murder on your soul, because like it's such a wraparound to get all the way there in the first place, and you have to like trek through the marsh and everything. Oh, it's a nightmare. And
I didn't enjoy that.
So if you make it that far and you die and you have to basically start from Zelda's temple again, you lose your mind. But like once you get the hammer and you can smash the boulder, it's just a very small trek to the right to go past that first town that you probably saw.
Where is the hammer?
I think it's Temple 2. It might be Temple 3 though.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I need the hammer.
I need hammer.
If I had the hammer, maybe I'd be a lot more forgiving of this game.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think the games we played as a kid, with this kind of system of like it's all or nothing, you lose all your lives, and there's a penalty. I don't think I feel that kind of adrenaline that you get these days from games because of this. It's a very fair system, but back then it was like, no, if you die, that's it. You start with nothing, off you go. You have to do the whole thing again. There was a certain amount of adrenaline, like, everything has to be worth it, and that was a kind of I did get that kind of buzz out of the game, because like I don't want to have to do all that again. This, making the right decisions and attacking things the right way and not getting just, trounced by something. It's like there was that kind of element
like a
of
freaking bat.
that was an element of enjoyment. I missed that kind of feeling of like, I got through it. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, let's just take a breather and then get back on with it.
Yeah.
It did have that kind of element to it.
It's okay. It's kind of a thing that most games don't do today. Is a fear of dying.
That's exactly what it was.
Basically it. That's literally exactly what it is. No games. I mean, I can't really think of many games nowadays that I'm like, oh, if I die, this is gonna be terrible.
There are none.
Like even difficult games, there are points when I have like 48 lives, and I'm just like, if I die, it doesn't matter. I'll just be right here next to the checkpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We've gone soft.
Yeah, I mean,
for
what else
me,
did you
like,
call it?
for me, like, it's funny because we're talking about the difference between it being an adult gamer and a childhood gamer, and like, yeah, one thing that I've noticed about myself, and it's ever present here in Zelda 2, is as an adult, my goal now is to win. I want to see everything that the game has to offer, and I prefer not to let go of the game until I've accomplished that, because then it just feels incomplete and it's kind of a frustrating feeling. As a kid, it was completely different. I almost didn't beat any of the video games that I owned, but getting to a new area of a game, that in itself was such a huge reward to me, So it's like in Zelda 2, I don't think any of us got this far, including myself, just to refresh myself, but all those challenges that we were just talking about, yeah, I saw those same temples and marshlands over and over and over and over again as a kid, but the day that I managed to cross the body of water with the raft was a huge day for me, because I finally made that accomplishment. Now, I never beat Zelda 2 as a kid, but getting as far as I did was such a rewarding experience, whereas now it's like, oh my god, you're gonna make me try to go through Temple 2 for like the 5th time? No. Goodbye,
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch cat YouTube videos.
See ya.
I'm gonna go watch A+Start.
That was a kind of weird, like, yeah, maybe you should.
Click this link, click the link in the description.
I will say, yeah, I didn't finish Zelda 2. It would have been so. Have any of us ever finished it, or?
Oh, okay. So here, can I tell a really quick funny story? Because I'll probably never.
Dude, you do it seriously.
So
dude.
As a kid, I got really, really close to beating the game. Very, very frustrating experience. I dedicated myself to it. There was one day I got to Death Mountain. No, I'm sorry, Death Mountain's early in the game. Just basically the end of the game, leading up to the final temple. And 2 of my friends come over, and they're like, "Hey, Derek, do you want to come outside and play?" And I'm like, "No, I want to finish."
Those were the days.
I was like,
yeah,
"No." I was like, "No, I want to finish Zelda 2." They leave, and then I'm like playing, and all of a sudden the game freezes, and I reset the game, and all my file data is gone.
No.
I was livid.
Your friends did that.
No, seriously.
You didn't realize that they unplugged the cable.
Yeah, karma
like,
came back hard, dude. Because like then I go outside and I'm like, "Hey guys, yeah, I lost my my save data for Zelda 2," and they were like, "We don't want to play with you." Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Oh my god.
I was like,
dude.
"What have I done?" But yeah, no, and this curse followed me all the way into my adulthood. I eventually got the game on 3DS with the intention to beat it finally, and what happens with 3DS? This story's a lot quicker. What happens with 3DS is that when you close it, it save states essentially, like it puts in sleep mode. And I never ever saved the game because I was like, "Oh, I'll just close my 3DS."
Just close it, no.
Here it goes.
Yeah, and I get
then one
all
day-
the way, and then I got all the way to the end of the game, and then I left my 3DS running for too long, and the battery died. And because I never saved the game, I lost all my data again.
Why
did
did
you
you
save
save the game? Why?
I didn't.
Because
I don't know.
I know exactly why. Because it's convenient. It's so much easier to go, right, I'm done with that, and close it up. You have that nice snap sound, and then you're like, cool, I'll just go about my business, and then I'll come back to this later. And you never really think, oh, what if the battery dies? What if I didn't save? What if, and then you come back
now
to
it's
it.
on my mind.
Now it's on
Yeah.
my mind constantly.
Oh man, I almost hate you for that. I can imagine you really hated yourself for that, but
Oh yeah. No,
Oh, wow.
but I eventually I don't know if this counts. If someone's watching this, please just comment down below whether or not this counts. But I eventually played it on emulator and just, kind of cheesed my way through it with save states and stuff. So
Yeah.
No, doesn't count. Don't even bother commenting. It does not count. You can play it with an emulator, but save states are a no-go. I've been told that many times, actually. Many times. By a lot of viewers. So what do we move on next with this thing? You wrote it down, A+.
I did. So we've talked story. Oh, have we talked to the story?
No, we haven't talked about story.
No.
Oh, I love it.
Where's the story? Tell me, she says, where's it?
Oh my god, it's in the manual and you'll love it.
God. Read the manual.
No, but seriously, the one thing I'll give the most credit to Zelda 2 for is that it has the coolest, at least it doesn't have a full story obviously, but it has the coolest premise out of any Zelda game ever. And this is why I wish they would remake this game, or at least grab influence from this game, at least for the story, because it's wicked. I was gonna use a curse word, but it's really awesome. It's really, really awesome. Okay, so this is basically what happens in Zelda 2, right? So in Zelda 1, Link defeats Ganon. He's dead. You saved Zelda, and it turns out that there's a Zelda from a previous generation in a deep sleep north of where Zelda 1 was. So this all has continuity, which is really cool. And so Link travels north to basically save this princess because Impa mentions it to him, and so he's ready. He's a more adult Link, and he's willing to save this princess. Meanwhile, now this is the part that I love the most. Okay, so Ganon's minions want to revive Ganon, and the only way to do that is to spill the blood of the hero. So all
that's kind of dark.
Oh gosh, now I understand. Ganon rises. Oh
yeah,
the goosebumps.
So every time you die and it says like Ganon has returned, that's because the enemies have taken your blood and used it to revive Ganon, and darkness falls across the land of Hyrule.
That puts a whole new spin on that.
I love it.
I know.
That's so
That
good.
is a really cool story.
What the heck? How did
So
I needed a guy at the manual?
it's a shame. It's a shame that you experience the story so passively in that respect, then, because none of that is like explained anywhere. Maybe it is.
It's an NES game.
Hate
kinda.
comments.
The point is like, yes, there were some people will say it's technical limitations where they couldn't make a story beginning thing, but if you look at
the intro.
If you look at a bunch of other like NES games, even like Star Wars, they have an intro sequence. Why couldn't these people do it? It would have made the game exponentially cooler.
I would have appreciated dying all those times. Then
Yeah, it would have been like, man, I died. Heck yeah.
The story's over.
Well, that's fun.
It's a whole new timeline.
Wow. Or the townspeople should have mentioned something. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Ganon's coming. I mean, granted, you could fit like, what, 5 words in those text boxes?
Oh yeah.
There were some people who are like, I am girl, coming
Ganon
house.
is bad. I am error.
Yeah, I am error.
Good guy.
Oh,
Best
dude.
guy. He should be the actual guy, main character. We need a
I just want to
spin-off
know what
series.
his purpose was.
Yeah,
What was
why
it-
did they call
Why is
him
he there?
Well, who?
It's kind of I am error.
Why is it called Air?
Yeah, and why is that the only thing he says?
I think there's 2 brothers or something like that.
I'm
I
Googling
forget,
it.
honestly.
I'm Googling it.
Great googly moogly.
Great googly moogly, look at there. Era is a character, man, years. In the years before acknowledged, there's a race easily acceptable. Mistaken belief that his dialogue, I am Era, was the result of gameplay's bug. However,
But it's not.
it is actually designed that way.
Right. Because there's
So
another
why?
character. There's another character that has like a programming nod, and like there's so there's brothers, I believe. One is Error, of course. The other one is I forget what his other one is. I think it's like Bite or something like that. I'm gonna get reamed in the comment section for not knowing, but
Destroyed.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll look it up for you.
She says, "Don't know his knowledge.
yeah.
No, she says, why didn't you do any
What
research?
an idiot! Yeah.
He don't even know what he talking about."
Seriously, why is he even on this show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked story, we've talked gameplay. What else we got
Okay.
here?
How do we feel about controls? I mean, it's a very basic game. You run left and right, and you jump every now and again. There's an attack button. It's very basic, but how do we feel about it?
Okay, so I actually thought about this before, because like even though it seems like a simple game, where you're just kind of like, oh, you know, because I've played beat 'em up games, I've played sword fighting games on NES, Atari, and it's mostly just button mashing. But Zelda 2, actually, I felt like I was doing something.
Yeah.
Like the ability to attack, the beam attack, which is basically worthless.
Yep.
I mean, why
Yeah.
even have that? In the other
Seriously,
games, post the Zelda 2, it's really effective. In this, it was like, I'm just getting nothing from this. Why do I even have it?
Literally, it doesn't even work on half the enemies.
Right,
Exactly.
it's just supposed to dispose of weaker enemies. Like it keeps you from losing your health to the smaller enemies. But it's so frustrating that it can't be used on the more complicated enemies. You know?
Yeah. It just
Absolutely.
looks cool. That's
It's
it.
like, look, it can go.
It's all rainbow and shiny.
Let's be honest, it doesn't even look cool. It just seems like it's like meh. It's like blink.
Back in 1987, it looked cool. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
No
back
way,
in that
dude.
day, that was
Even
even
back in 1987, the original game, like the original Legend of Zelda, it knew how to make it cool. It was just like, and it's just like crashing into enemies. But this one, it's just like, weep.
I did feel that actually. Yeah, I agree with that.
it felt a
But, like-
little limp. Let's
Yeah,
say.
but like even the shield, the ability to block things, you had to like move up or down depending on how to block it.
Mhm.
It really worked well. Platforming felt great and all that stuff. I feel the controls are some of the best controls I've ever like experienced in like, I don't know what you would call it, RPG side-scrolling beat 'em up platformer.
I mean, it does cover all those bases. Yeah.
It literally is all of those. But yeah, I feel like it was the best one of that genre, I guess.
Yeah. Zelda 2 is somewhat of a mixed bag, writing this down.
Exactly.
It's basically the what is it called? The when you try to make a cooking dish in Breath of the Wild and it comes out as like the
The gross thing?
yeah.
Or
What is that
the
called?
mistake?
Yeah, the mistake. No,
Nope, shouldn't have cooked that.
yeah, no, but seriously, I'm giving being too hard on Zelda 2. I do think it was really good, and as far as the controls go, controls work great. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with the controls. I'm trying to think of like at least one thing where it's like, that just did not go off right, you know. But no, it's what the enemies do to counter you, you know, and your awesome controls that kind of brings in the frustration. So it's like, again, the fault is only your own, I suppose. No, I wouldn't even say that because the enemies kind of get a little unfair.
Yeah,
too.
they move randomly, so even you
Yeah.
predict like, oh, I can maybe just jump. You know, sometimes I was like, if I take a hit from these guys, I'm gonna die. So I'm just gonna jump over them, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna make it. No, he died. The little blob dudes.
Freaking
Oh.
blob, dude.
Oh, man, they would just
I
jump
hate
and they
those blob
right
dudes.
in my path, and that was it. I'm done. And I'm like,
Dude.
oh, damn it.
Mine was
Those-
the freaking bats.
Yeah,
Bats,
exactly.
They,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
like fly just perfectly that if you moved any, it would kill you. Or if you didn't
It's like they were
move, it
trying
would
to kill
kill you.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
know. What
blobs,
the crap?
They're very
The bl-
effective.
the blobs were surprising troll. Like again, going back into it for this refresher, I was like, oh yeah, the blobs, no problem. But no, I got hit a lot, and I've got footage for you, and I hope that you plant it here of like the blobs. There was actually one point in Temple 2 where the blobs spawn from like this dripping crack in the wall,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
thing.
and they basically hoarded me. It was like I was stuck on the elevator, and I was like, okay, I don't have any appropriate approach to these blobs without getting hit, and they just kind of swarmed me, and I was like, no.
Oh my god.
I
Oh,
have
man.
a similar experience where I think it was again in the second dungeon, and you have this like steps. They're kind of placed on steps. I'm on the above step, and there's one of these blob dudes like just on the next step down. I was like, ha, they can't get up steps. I'll be fine. And he just clocked me, and that was it. I was done.
I
was like,
literally had the exact same experience. Exactly. Same steps, same blob, dude. I hate them.
those.
I hate them so much, dude. There's at one point the freaking, what are they called? Autorox or something like that? Spinny
Octoroks.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, Octorox. I guess that would make sense. Octopus.
Mm.
But
They
those
didn't really look
Octoroks-
like. Yeah.
Nah, they didn't. But there was literally two of them right next to each other with two birds coming from both sides and one of those jumpy mustached beard cats. in one stage. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to handle this? What do you want me to do?
Who was it that made like a Ninja Gaiden? I feel it was
Tecmo. That was
Tecmo,
Tecmo.
No. Who made the video about? I feel it was like an angry video game.
Yeah,
nerd,
angry video game.
Oh,
and
that
he
would
has this
definitely be
screen of all the enemies, and he's like, "How am I meant to do this?" And he drew lines on the screen. I felt like that was every situation I was in Zelda 2. Like, if I go this way, yeah, that's death. If I go this way, yeah, definitely death. And just like, how do I avoid these things? Especially when I was doing it in the dark. Remember
Funny
that?
enough-
That was a mistake, though.
Yeah.
Funny enough, he's commented on Zelda 2, and he gets a lot of requests for that game. And he was like, "No, I like Zelda 2. I like it a lot." And in fact, like a lot of reviewers who end up touching Zelda 2 are like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is a great game." But like, I don't think they really emphasize how difficult it is, like ever. I mean, and that's not a staple of a bad game. And I
No,
guess that's
definitely.
where they're right. But like at the same time, it's like they just gloss over that completely. They're just like, it's so amazing. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? You're probably right. Let me go try it. Oh man, this is just.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is a wonderful game over screen they've got. I really like the effects. I
I
really
like
like
the-
how it's mocking me. Yeah, gotta love that.
Dude, the freaking magic spells, though, that was something I really enjoyed. With, like, the shield worked surprisingly well when I had to... There was a bridge with lava underneath and these, like, skeleton fish that are just popping out there and shooting at you, which, by the way, also is annoying. But I literally was like, screw this, turned on shield, and just walked. Just kept walking. And they just kept hitting me, and it just didn't really do much. And I was like,
Come at me.
screw this. Just do it. I don't care. Just, I'm done. It
So,
worked.
So we're starting to hit the end of our runtime here. You guys
Oh, we
wanna?
are.
So
you
yeah, in
Yeah, we should
conclusion,
summarize.
I was gonna say,
how
do
do
you guys want to?
feel?
I was gonna ask you guys this as a bookend. Do you want guys want to mention your favorite thing and your least favorite thing, and then we'll just
Ooh.
leave it at that?
We can do favorite thing, least favorite thing, and then we can kind of like summarize it.
Okay.
Okay, so you start A+.
I was gonna say, I liked the fact that I felt lost in the beginning. It was kind of like, oh, where do I go? But that's part of the fun. So I did like the open world aspect of it. I liked the combat, the complexity of it. We talked about that earlier. Surprising for a 2D game of the time. Yeah, I would have liked there to have been more story and for you to experience it more firsthand than, oh, it was in the manual, like, or that kind of deal. I thought the whole point of it, I mean, it's not a strict RPG, that it has RPG elements. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I wouldn't call it a strict RPG. It has so many other things going for it. But yeah, I would have liked a deeper story. Maybe it was technical limitations, I don't know, but yeah, I just felt that was a missing thing. There was no drive for me to carry on, really. So yeah, I didn't hate the game, like I said before. I enjoyed certain aspects of it. I probably wouldn't go back to it though.
When you said there was no drive for me, I just imagined the princess on the bed being like, "Hello,
Is this not good enough for you?
yeah."
Come get me.
Okay.
Beta.
All right, for me, this is my opinion. The thing I liked about the game was how, for the first time, especially with an older game, with the, like, NES games and stuff like that, it's not exactly something that really sucks me in most of the time. Usually it's like SNES games and onward, because Earthbound is amazing. FYI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But for the first time for an NES game, I literally, and I felt like I wanted to come back. Like, I felt like coming in, I played it, and then I stopped, and my first thought was, I can't wait to play this again.
Huh.
Which is something I've pretty much never experienced, even with, like, popular games like Super Mario Brothers. That game, it's fun, and yeah, but I never have the experience of, like, I want to come back and keep playing. I felt like everything that I was doing, I was actually accomplishing something. Like getting the lantern, I was like, oh man, now I can do this and go explore this. Or if I get more powerful, I'm like, oh yes, then I can go and now kill these guys and be able to get further into this temple. And collecting all these items, talking to these people, opening up bridges, I felt like I was actually accomplishing something for a reason to come back later and keep playing. But the problem I have, it's not so much the fact that it's challenging. I like that. The problem I have is how destructively painful it is to die.
Yeah.
You die, you lose all your experience points. You go all the way back to the original temple. You have to go all the way back around in hopes that you don't die trying to get there, so you at least have some lives to be able to attack the boss. So it was not that I didn't like the challenge. The challenge was fantastic. It's just I wish there wasn't such a penalty for dying. But all in all, I love Zelda 2. I wouldn't say I like it more than Zelda 1. I wouldn't say I like it as my favorite Zelda game. But it's definitely a game that I would recommend to anyone who is interested in playing it. Even if you're not, just give it a shot. And you can use save states if you want.
But it doesn't count.
It doesn't count, but you can. All right, she says, you're up.
Okay. My favorite thing about Zelda 2 is I'm gonna give it two things. One is the music that we didn't talk about. I really like.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really good. The freaking temple music, spot on.
I love the overworld music. It just has such an adventure-y vibe to it.
Yeah.
You know, you're like I'm checking out an adventure. That kind of feel. Yeah, maybe someone has a different interpretation.
No, I love it. It's good.
Look at all this green. That's what it says to me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This is your time, she says. Don't worry.
Yeah, really. It feels like it. No, I'm just kidding. The other thing is the adventure of Link. No, but seriously, I love the adventure aspect of it. Like, it feels more like Zelda 1. It was very open-ended. You can kind of go in many different directions, and you could be touching World 8 the entire time and not even know it. That's how free the experience is. But Zelda 2 is the first one to kind of guide the player while also offering an explorative aspect to it, which was used in a lot of games later on, then later criticized, then abandoned. But still, I like that as well, and Zelda 2 is the first one to do it. And I like that aspect quite a great deal. So that's like probably my number one thing that I love about Zelda 2. My least favorite thing about Zelda 2 is killing an enemy that's worth 200 experience points, and they drop a mana potion instead of giving you the experience points. Why not both? Give me both.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yep.
Especially when you know it's like you're just banking to wrap around to be like, I need this amount of experience points before I drop the gem in the temple and get my free level up. If that enemy drops a mana potion, you're just out of luck because he doesn't come back. So it's like you could leave the room and go, but all you got was a mana potion for your troubles. And I'm like, that is just bad. That's the worst thing. So that's all I got.
That's it. That's all you got, she says?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
My, well, I guess that means we're done. We're done here.
I guess so. So what are we playing next week, guys?
That's the thing. Okay, so since this is Game Club, gentlemen who are watching, and ladies too, I don't know why I said gentlemen. Sorry.
Everybody. We include everybody.
I'm so sorry.
Everybody.
Everybody.
It didn't happen.
All the viewers. You all get to play along too. You know, feel free to play the game, and when we come back next week, you can kind of just comment and let us know what you think. So, who's going to say what game it is? Who's going to reveal it?
I'll say it. It's going to be Bubsy.
Bubsy?
Ooh.
Which Bubsy, she says?
I'm pretty sure the first one. What could possibly go wrong?
He's been waiting on that.
I've been waiting so long.
Since the start of the podcast, gentlemen. No, but yeah, we're going to be doing Bubsy, so go for it. Play the game. Let us know what you think. And also, feel free to suggest a game that we play in future weeks.
Oh, yes, do that. Email us. There's a link in the About tab. Business inquiries.
Or comment. I'll read them.
Oh, yeah, she says we'll read them. Wait, that's not our job.
So I guess that means all we can say is thanks for listening, guys. If you have played Zelda 2, I'm sure there are a lot of you that have played it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did you really enjoy the game? Did you share some of our thoughts and feelings on it? And we will see you in the next podcast. We'll be playing Bubsy, and we hope you join us. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye-bye.
There it is.
Say bye, she says. Say bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.